Well, as you may well imagine, it's been a positive week after some 75, 80 minutes of exciting play. The guys quickly got over the frustrations of a slow start and a difficult 10 minutes, but all in all, they've about their work with great energy and a very attitude, and we look forward a Montreal team that have obviously started their season off well.
Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, Gary, after having the chance to review the Cincinnati game, do you feel better about it, worse about it, pretty much the same as you felt after the game on Saturday evening?
Well, I think there's a couple of things when you look back at it, Tim, that we can, maybe we even felt going into the game we were always going to be big hurdles to jump. And look, the guys worked incredibly well in the pre-season period, but due to circumstances that we could not control, it was very difficult to find the type of competition that we were going to run into in that first game. And I think you throw into the equation as well that fans in the stadium for the first time in a while, the euphoria of starting off a new season, and you start to see the real intensity and the cut and thrust of that initial game. And we were slow to start. I mean, there's no getting away from it. The group didn't look as we left the season last year. They didn't acquit themselves as we're accustomed to, and Cincinnati did a very good job of taking advantage of that. So we have no complaints there. But what I would say is, the focus, the determination, the energy. I looked at some data on the players post game and compared it to the opening game last year against Atlanta, and the average distance and high speed movements of the players were way in excess of where we were last year. So there's a lot of progression athletically. We showed that in that 75, 80 minutes. And I think, well, I'd like to think that everyone saw a much brighter, positive and exciting group with 32 efforts at goal that really should have won the game in the end.
Ray Hills with the Tennessean with the next question. And before we give you the floor, Drake, a reminder to everybody to please alert me through the chat if you have questions for Coach. Thank you. Drake?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, Gary. And obviously, as you've just spoken about, the performance in that 75 minutes or so, just talking about the attacking side, where was it with the shots on goal? Titon was spectacular in goal. He had no shortage of work to do to stop CJ and Jonder and plenty of the guys. So, but with that, to your point, after the match, you only had Jonder and CJ available. Are we finally going to be able to see Daniel and Dombaji fully healthy this week?
We're edging very much closer with one of those guys. Unfortunately, we certainly won't see Daniel Rios, but Dominic Badji has been part of the group all week, and he'll be a decision that's made tomorrow morning on whether or not he'll be part of the 20-man group. I mean, look, to your point, it's always disappointing. I think you tend to forget about Abu as well. We have 5 out-and-out forwards in this group now. And of course, choice and competition was always uppermost in everyone's mind to force us into that, position where we're maybe a bit more exciting, certainly have more options, and definitely want to be more of a goal threat. So it's always disappointing to lose players, but the 2 guys you spoke about had a really positive impact on the game. They're getting a lot out of one another with that competition. And, game on game, I would expect to see them feel more and more comfortable.
Ben Dudley with MLS Now podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Coach. Montreal is not the same club that we faced last year. Several new players, new coach, Wilfred Nancy. What have you seen, obviously with limited information, what have you seen that maybe give you some insight to this new CF Montreal?
Well, first of all, I think some of the additions have been an upgrade on where they were last year. In their opening game, to come out of the traps and to score 4 goals is no mean feat, given the early stages of appreciation and understanding maybe of some of those players. So I'm sure they're very confident and buoyant with the performance last weekend. The easy picture that we all look at is to say that because of Thierry Henry's departure, they were thrown into a little bit of turmoil or chaos. So, I mean, look, I would have to say, looking at them as a team, they've come together well as a group. The coach has been able to get them aligned and on the same page. And, they look a bright, energetic, focused, and, very exciting group to run into. So it's certainly not going to be an easy challenge. They've got a lot of quality and attacking pieces out in the field. So, we certainly won't be taking this lightly.
Thank you, Coach. It sounds like we don't have any more questions unless anybody has a final one. Otherwise, we'll let you go. Tim Sullivan with the final one.
Yeah, what have you seen, I guess specifically, obviously they've only played the one game competitively, but what have you seen from them that allowed them to score 4 goals that you're especially looking forward to scheming up the ways to prevent them from doing the same to you?
I think the easy thing to look at immediately is the pace and athleticism they have through the middle up top. Those 2 guys who got on the sheet are a handful athletically, but that combination and the big signing, in that number 10 role has given them a different dimension, and it certainly gives them a real edge as they transition from some of their defensive shape. But all in all, with one game to look at and a small sample size, I think the balance in the group, Mihailovic, the new boy Kizer out wide on the left. I think Miller has given them a nice bit of athleticism in that back line. And, you've got a lot of experience in the middle there with Piet and Wanyama. And it just looked like they were a little bit more comfortable. And, sometimes groups with not an awful lot of pressure. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, most people had written them off outside of the league. But I think we all know inside that they've got a lot of good players in that club. They're always a challenge. Every game's a challenge, and they've certainly set their standards high in this first 4 games. And we know we have a real difficult weekend ahead of us.
Joining us here is Canadian international defender Alistair Johnston. Alistair, how have you guys been preparing for this week's match?
It's just building on the opener against Cincinnati. We know that our first 10 minutes was definitely not our best, and so fixing that up is one of the main things that we were looking at, just those opening 10 minutes, those opening exchanges, and that's normally something that we've been very good at last year. So just building on that, and also looking at, how Montreal plays. Definitely a different type of style than we're used to when you see a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it. So just getting ready for that and how we're going to press and how we're going to deal with those fullbacks who like to get high, those wing backs. And also it's an enjoyable game for me, going and playing some of the guys now that I've really gotten to meet through the Canadian national team. And, it'll be an exciting one for myself for sure.
Thank you, Alistair. We will open the floor for questions, and we will begin with Ben Wright with Broadway Sports.
Yeah, Alistair, last time we talked, you had just mentioned being happy with how you played defensively last year, but kind of wanting to contribute a little bit more in the attack. Against Cincinnati, when you guys had all that possession, how do you feel like you did kind of in a more attacking role?
You know, I still felt like I was in quite a defensive role on my side, just with how we really settled into a rhythm in that game. It felt like a cyclical game where it pretty much was a goal kick for them. They kick it long on my side of Locadia. Walker would go up, win it. It would go up to Lovett's side. He'd fly down the wing, get across in chance, corner. Then we do the same thing over again, goal kick, back out to my side. So I never really felt like I was getting that far forward. But at the same time for me, it was a little different in terms of having possession and a lot of time on the ball compared to what I'm used to in a higher position in their final third. So yeah, just making good decisions and continuing to build that relationship with Alex and Hanwala, two different types of players, and they want the ball in different places. So for me, that's been a big thing I know if I'm going to be successful offensively, it's going to have to be that they're being successful offensively. So their success is based on me giving the ball in the right spots and putting them in positions to succeed. So that was something we were trying to work on in Cincinnati. And I think that, we started with Alex for that first 60 minutes and Hanwala for the last 30. If I'm a fullback going up against that, I'm not having a great time because, Alex Muyl, this guy is going to run you ragged for however long he's on the field. And then Hanwala is going to come in and, he's a shifty little dude. He's a guy that if you fall asleep for 1 second or your legs are a little heavy from chasing shadows with Alex Muyl all game long, then he can burn you. So as a fullback, understanding that as well, I can see that other fullback dying a little bit over there. Just keep feeding them, and once they start getting after those fullbacks, then it really opens up a lot of space on that right hand side for me to occupy and create.
Team Sullivan with For Clapham Country with the next question.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to the differences between Alex and Handwalla there. How does whichever guy is up on that right wing affect the way that you have to play, other than obviously, like you said, they want the ball in different places? How does it kind of change what you can do within the tactical setup that you guys have?
Well, they're both, to a degree, they're very different, but at the same time, they're very similar in their work rates. I mean, I look at just the GPS data all the time after trainings, and those two are always the top two. It's crazy how much distance both of those cover. So I know Alex gets a lot of the plaudits for the defensive work he does. I think Hanwalla does a great job as well at that. So defensively, it's not too different in terms of just their builds and their play styles. For me, it's with Hanwalla, it's all right. Let's find his feet and sometimes let's not overcrowd the situation by coming in too early. And sometimes let's feed him and let him go at the guy. Because I know if I come with an underlap or an overlap, sometimes it actually just brings an extra defender and clogs things up. While with Alex, I really want to, okay, here we go. We're two kind of powerful dudes. Let's play it and let's run. So in those kind of ways, it's a little different. With Hanwalla, I really just want to feed him and let him go at it and do his thing. While with Alex, it's really a tag team partnership. But at the same time, me and Hanwalla have been building a great relationship as well in the wing in terms of me feeding him in behind, him feeding me in behind. And with both those guys, they're a joy to play with. And yeah, they do bring something different to the table. But for me, I look at it as two great different styles of play that we can have on that right side. It brings something a little different to what's going on the left, and hopefully we can be effective over there.
West Bowling with 102.5 the game.
Hey, Alistair, you mentioned going against some guys that you know this weekend from the Canadian national team. You had somebody you knew last weekend in Calvin from Wake Forest as well. What is your approach when you're playing against players that you know well, that you know you well? Is it different, and is it extra gratifying to maybe have a conversation after the match? Is that in the back of your mind, thinking about getting the better of somebody that you know and respect?
It's a funny one. When I went out and I saw the lineups right when I came in the locker room, they put Harris as the starting left winger. I was like, man, this is a crazy small world. I was doing 1v1 drills with him just 3 months ago at Wake Forest in the off season. So it's really cool as well. It's one of those ones that I kind of understand now. The more and more games you go into, and you're like, wow, I know someone in this team, or I know multiple guys in this team that, I'm starting to really be a part of this league. You're no longer that rookie who just, kind of looking at the stars all the time. Now I actually know some guys this league, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's definitely something. I was excited by the challenge of playing Calvin. I know his game very well. And it's funny, his dad was texting me and saying it probably wasn't the best matchup. And so was the Wake Forest staff there saying, it probably wasn't the best matchup for Calvin going into day one, going against someone who knows him inside and out. And at the end of the day, as I see it, is they know my game, but when my game isn't necessarily all about just, I'm going to fake shot or some simple thing like that. Like Alistair loves to cut onto his right. when my game is a lot based around just my running. At the end of the day, you might know that I'm going to run, but yeah. So Calvin Harris knew that I was going to overlap, but at the same time, that doesn't change the fact that he's still going to have to run with me. So it's one of those ones that I personally like going up against the guy and having a really good knowledge of his game, and I don't really care if he knows my game. Because at the same time, is that I see it as, in order to match my game, it's just going to be a lot of effort, and asking a winger to put in that shift, not only offensively but defensively, is it's a tough ask, but it's something that you really need to have at this next level. And I think Calvin's going to have a great career. Super technical player, and I love the kid. But yeah, no, it's super cool going up against guys like that, and now going into Montreal, playing against a guy like Kamal Miller, who I've known all my life almost, it feels like, and he'll be on that left side center back role for sure, and a couple of other guys in that midfield and in that back line. So I'm excited by the challenge. And yeah, it's cool. My jersey collection's definitely growing day by day. I'll tell you that much too.
Dre Hughes with the Tennessean.
Yeah, what's up, Alistair? Going from obviously the Cincinnati game to Saturday, I'm sure you're hoping to start a little bit different. But the fact that you guys, the direction you guys were playing in that first half against Cincinnati, you guys had that back line, and the supporters right behind you. What's the factor that they can play as far as the supporters are concerned, getting you settled into the match, starting with a high intensity and probably starting a little bit differently than you guys did against Cincinnati?
I think we feed off of each other. The fans are the easiest ones. They can tell when we're having a nervy start, and you can feel that nervous energy in the crowd. But at the same time, is that as soon as it hit minute 15 and we started to tick like clockwork, you can feel that roar, that buzz of energy, and that inevitability almost. And you can feel that in the crowd. It's not something that they can fake. So I think that's one of those ones, is that once we start mounting all that pressure, you feel the roar, you feel the energy, and you can see the Cincinnati guys, they go into a little bit of a shell. It's hard not to when you're on the road, and that one team is just feeling the momentum, the crowd is completely behind them. So for us, it's just about, managing those first 10 minutes better and getting the crowd on our side, because everyone in there is a huge soccer fan. Everyone knows when things aren't going particularly well. And you can feel it, and it's kind of reverberating around the stadium. It's tough for everyone. So I think just having a smoother start, not even necessarily like, you don't need to come out and look like Barca the first 10 minutes, but just one of those ones that settle the nerves early, and get the crowd on our side and in the mood for some goals. And I think we'll be fine. And you know what, I tell you what, it felt great to have that crowd back in there. Oh my, that energy they brought, that was something else. And it was just a lot of fun to be a part of. And I'm looking forward to a whole season of that. And then coming in the next few years, once we open up the new stadium, I know this place is going to be rocking. So yeah, it's just a good sign and a good showing from Nashville as always.
Bob Kusek with News Channel 5 with the final question for you, Alistair.
I'm good, Chris. Drake got mine.
Wonderful.
Looks like Tim's got a last one. Does he? Is that one another one if there's time?
Thanks for the boost there, Ali.
No worries, I'm here for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, you mentioned playing against that odd back line is going to be a completely different challenge to what Cincinnati provided you guys. What are the adjustments that you have to make, and does having the odd back line in your team's arsenal allow you to be a little bit better prepared for it than you might otherwise be?
I got to be kind of tight-lipped. I know Gary will potentially be going over this and not be wanting me to give any tactical things away, but playing against the back five definitely opens up some different opportunities for guys. And there's going to be some isolations, especially in a back five, if we properly spread the field out and get the mismatches that we want, I think we feel pretty comfortable. And it's going to give me and Lovitz, if we take up really good spots, lots of time in the ball. And that's something that I think you saw last year when we played Montreal. And didn't necessarily play a five at the back, but they really played a super narrow formation. It gave me and Lovitz tons of time to really, get in good spots and drive at that back line and draw center mids out. So we're going to be looking at the same kind of thing, especially with the back line, with the back five. It does provide different challenges. You got two up top and you got a number 10 that's roaming. So we got to be super aware of those counterattacks, because they do have they have athletes. They got guys who are fast and strong and want to get downhill. So at the same time, as much as potentially there's going to be some more opportunities maybe for us to get forward, we really got to be careful about what's going on behind us as well.
So thank you for joining us, Alex. How have you been preparing for the match? And I think I'm going to ask the question that everybody's now ready to ask why the change in the haircut.
Yeah, I've been preparing by going to the barbershop. No, but it's, I was always, a short hair guy. It was a fun journey growing out my hair for almost 2 years, but I never really felt like a long hair guy. I was never fully comfortable, and I was just ready to do it. It actually came out last game. Like I went up for a header, and it's just like, I don't want to be thinking about that, worrying about that during the game. So I took that as kind of the final straw and cut it off. I would have liked to donate it, but there's not too many like events happening right now with COVID. So, but I'm happy. I feel good. And now it's so nice, so much less maintenance.
Question for you coming from West Bowling from 102.5 The Game.
Hey, Alex, love the haircut. So against Cincinnati, going up against a guy like Matarrita, just by his very nature, he's so attacking that it forced you back, I'm sure, into more of a tracking back role, whereas I know you like to be on the edge of the final third and trying to find those attacking spaces. Do you anticipate more opportunity to get forward against a team like Montreal versus a barnstorming left back like Matarrita?
Yeah, I mean, I think that game definitely posed its own challenges, especially in the early stages. They were very they were very aggressive and they were on the front foot. So it took some figuring out. Montreal they play a different system. So it's going to be a different challenge. And I think that, ultimately the challenge is always to try and be the aggressor, be the one on the front foot. So I think that if we can be more attacking and we can be in those dangerous positions, it's going to pin them back and allow us to not have to be in those kind of positions.
Ben Dudley with MLS Now podcast with the next question.
Hey, Alex. Montreal likes to play up the middle, that the unbalanced back line we were just talking with Alistair about. It can be a different challenge, but it could also open up different opportunities. Do you, I guess I may not be able to answer this. Gary might slap your hand for giving away tactics. But do you see this as a game where you may drift more into the middle or stay out wide, bombing in crosses like normal? And a follow-up question, are you afraid that with your haircut, you will lose your strength like Samson?
No, actually, I'm feeling slim and strong right now. But I think obviously, yeah. So like we said, it's a completely different system that Montreal plays. So there's going to be different areas where we're vulnerable and different areas where they're vulnerable. I think with wingbacks, you always have to be ready to see whether they're pressing on or whether they're sitting back, and that's really going to affect you as a winger. And ultimately, you have to find space and find the soft spots in the other team. And I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal comes and we see a completely different, setup to how they set up against Toronto. So I think that for us, it's going to be about preparing as much as we can. But when you get out there, obviously, you just have to basically play what's been given to you, because I've in many times in my career, you're setting up for one thing and they just, they set up completely different.
Tim Sullivan with For Clap and Country.
Yeah, Alex, you provided the pass to Anibal that got his little offensive rush going that ultimately resulted in Johnston's goal on Saturday. What did you see, first of all, on that first touch that you gave the ball to Anibal, and then kind of following from behind, seeing him call Randall forward? What was going through your mind as you saw that happening?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was an important time for us to get back in the game. And I think, it's kind of started our, dominance for the rest of the game was that kind of run. And Anibal is such a great player because he's someone who can really carry the ball and take us, from the middle third to the final third. And you see a lot of the qualities he has. And it's something that I think that a lot of us can learn from. The way he carries the ball, the way he protects it with his body, and his mentality to try and attack. Both of our midfielders, Dax and him, are unbelievable at that. So for me, when I saw him give me the little header to me, I knew that he was going to carry his run on. I saw the space and I knew that, it was a little bit tight, so I was going to have to play fast. And luckily I was able to give a good ball back that kept him in stride and kept his momentum, because that's also very important. If you have to slow down, you can get caught a lot of the time. So I was just trying to, get him the ball and let him do his thing. And yeah, for me watching that, it was hilarious. I didn't really notice how much he was basically telling Randall to get wide till I saw it after. But yeah, for me, what I'm thinking is, okay, this is a big moment. and I was just trying to get into the box. It was hard for me to get there. I was just at the top of the box at the end, but if anything falls out for me, it's, get in the box and be in a dangerous position. So that's what I was thinking.
Then right with Broadway Sports.
Yeah, Alex, Tim actually asked my question here. So I'll throw it back to the hair question. Do you think Walker Zimmerman feels any additional pressure now being the lone member of Team Long Hair in the squad?
I do think he feels a little bit like deserted right now, because before I knew I was going to do it for a couple of days. I went in on Tuesday was my last day, like in training. And I was telling myself, all right, today's my last session with long hair. But I wasn't telling other guys that. And I just remember I walked up to Walker after training. I was like, hey, man, just wait. He's like, what are you talking about? And he kept trying to find out what I was talking about. Today when I saw him, I was like, all right, stop waiting. And he was like, he was surprised. So I think he feels a little bit deserted, but now he gets all the shine. Not that he gets enough anyway, but now he gets all the shine for sure.
Right, feels with Tennessee and with the final question of the day.
Yeah, I think that's a good transition from Ben's question. But you've had a whole preseason with Nashville. Now you've gotten into to fit in with the boys and get a chance to see your role blossom a little bit. On top of, I'm sure, working with Guppy and everything on the field. What's your role exactly, to your understanding, on how you guys want to move forward with Alex Muyl in 2021?
It's a hard question, because I think that it can change so much throughout the season, because sometimes you're needed to do one thing. And for me, I think that's generally been a lot of, for this team, it's been starting and, a lot of energy and contributing on both sides of the ball. And I think this year I put a lot of work into really kind of getting sharp and trying to add things to my game in the final third. So for me, all I can really say, because it comes down to really how the year goes. I can't say that I'm going to start every game, but for me, it's going to be, what I want is to be a leader on the team. Having gone through preseason, I have a more of a relationship with a lot of guys, so I want to be a leader. I want to be someone that Gary has to think twice before he takes me off the field, because I'm doing the things that are needed. And the last thing is, I just want to be a good teammate and contribute as much as possible, because if the team's winning, if the team's successful, everyone's happy. I'll be the happiest guy. So that's really the main thing. I'm definitely a team first guy, and someone that I just want to give everything to help the team win, because I hate losing, and I want everyone to be happy around here, and that's going to take winning.
Thank you, Alex. And thank you, everybody, for your patience today as we maneuver with some technological distractions. You have a good day, and we